What's up, my little frogs on lily pads? This is Aggressively Me. I changed the channel name so that I will no longer be competing with about 5 other channels who all have 20 to 50 more followers than me. And today I wanted to talk about the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. I am what you might consider a casual fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's games. I've watched Mark play the original, Sister Location, and Security Breach, plus or minus a few bits of 2 or 3. More recently, watching Markiplier play Security Breach, I developed a hyperfixation on it. Specifically on thinking about all of the things that I disliked or disagreed with in it. Then it occurred to me, maybe some of that is because I'm not the target demographic. Not the bugs or game design issues, I mean, but the story elements. The emphasis on referencing obscure timeline lore built off of a combination of Easter eggs and fan content over a story with anything to say about our existing society. The first game was a game about jump scares, yes, but thematically it was a critique of American capitalistic society, where people are disposable and the poor are expected to sacrifice their passion, energy, and physical safety in exchange for subsistence-level wages. You see some callbacks to that theme in Sister Location, most memorably with the exotic butters basket, which is the corporation taking money out of your paycheck and regifting it to you in a much less usable form. Many times I thought, wouldn't Security Breach be so much better if it was more like the first game? If Vanessa was a minimum wage employee, just putting in minimum effort to try and get this kid out of the corporate death trap where she works. But there's an issue with that thinking. Security Breach, and every Five Nights at Freddy's sequel, is made for a very different audience than the first one. I'm not necessarily sure who, if anyone, the creators were trying to reach with the original game, but since it became popularized by major YouTubers, Let's Players specifically, that meant that the primary audience for every subsequent game would be middle schoolers and high schoolers. And I don't mean this in a pejorative sense, as many older people and people who wish they were older do. I mean it in the sense that children in middle school and high school have very different tastes and life experiences than young adults in the professional world. These kids, or at least the ones with time and internet access to watch YouTube, have a lot more time and mental energy than adults, and less life experience with the society we live in, so they might be less invested in cynical allegories for all the wrongs perpetrated by our economic system. In contrast, they'd have a greater interest in a world and lore that they can deep dive in, something with hints and pieces of the story hidden behind difficulty spikes and Easter eggs reminiscent of impossibly hard old-time adventure games, something that gives them enough to inspire them, enough to spark conversation, but not so much that they can't make up their own theories and conjectures, complex, gory timelines that can take over 2 hours to explain to outsiders. An example of where I think Security Breach failed in this goal, aside from failing to cater to my personal tastes, in the part where you find Vanny's hiding place, when Freddy remarks, "Vanny, like a combination of Vanessa and Bonnie. This can't be a coincidence." And obviously it very much could be one. And when I heard it said out loud like that in-game, I thought, that is ridiculous. However, if they had simply had the name there, without the voice line, and a high schooler was explaining to me their theory that Vanessa and Bonnie are connected through Vanny, I would say, wow, that's interesting, tell me more. I mean, if I saw MatPat say it in a video, I'd think, MatPat, that's dumb, and you are dumb. But that's just because he yells and I don't like it. Anyways, that's just an instance of something that I think could have been a part of the hints and pieces of lore, but because the creators wanted to come out and make it part of the text rather than subtext of the game, it detracted from the experience. All this to say, I'm a young curmudgeon who wants FNAF to be a biting anarcho-communist horror satire, but I'm not the core audience, and what I want is not what FNAF has been geared towards for a long time. And that's okay. This video is unsponsored by Dollar Shave Club. The graduating class of 2017 got Poet Laureate Natasha Trethewey, and the graduating class of 2021 got Dr. Fauci. Do you know who my Brosters class got? The fucking Dollar Shave Club guy. The sibling in question brought a book to read during his speech, but I was not so lucky and was subjected to most of it. It was 20% cliche, 80% bragging about his one accomplishment, making a lot of money, and 100% total garbage. But yeah, sure, he totally deserves to be grouped with our friend Fauci, because in this country, money equals merit. Michael Dubin isn't the CEO of Dollar Shave Club anymore, but he's still a board member, so you still shouldn't buy from them. He's also an investor/advisor for this Trail of Creation thing that is currently just a motivational poster and an email address, so whatever that is, don't support it. Ultimately, I don't know and don't care how good or bad Dollar Shave products may be. Their founder is a garbage little man, and you should never buy from them. Thank you.